when we did
Valimai.
Valimai, and we went for the 3 a.m. show, and it was madness because I had never seen anything like it. Ajith sir, of course, doesn't promote films, so my car entered and they put dahi and doodh and pool.
What?
And we got mobbed. It was nuts.
It was
I've
madness,
never experienced anything like this.
आपको रोना नहीं है, but you are very angry with yourself and you're doing this, and it's very
Please don't do it right now.
yeah.
For me also it's very new, this world, and I think when I see myself I said, wow, that is so bad.
My parents cutting out a cardboard box and I'm put in there to be the television presenter.
When I did Gully Boy, everyone was like, don't do it. You know, it's the biggest mistake, you're taking risk.
I think life is beautiful. Sorry, Huma. I mean,
It is my favorite film. You have quoted.
No, but 1 second. I will give you a Hindi film also because I
No, but it's my favorite film.
In Vikram Vedha, there was this very tiny sequence where I get to do a little bit of action, and I haven't done it before. In all honesty, forget about anyone else, but I didn't know whether I could do it or not. And I did it along with Hrithik sir.
You know, can I start by saying thank you for all the performances you all have given this year. It's been a joy for us as an audience. So can we please give a round of applause for you guys?
And we also to each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
What an amazing year. So thank you for that.
And absolutely agree, like it has been a year of great performances. So if we have to start the conversation, you know, by asking each one of you, if there was an award for best performance, best sequence of the year, which scene of yours would you all pick or nominate?
From this year.
From this year, yeah.
We will start this from the center.
No, I think Masaba, you're right there. Always
back.
beginning of the line. You
back.
picked that spot.
What scene would this from Masaba, I guess?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think the part where I just sort of give it off to Arman's character, which is Fateh.
Yeah.
And he's being a dash boy, I can't say that out loud, but he's being a bit shady about his marriage and this and that, and I kind of just in a hotel lobby just give it to him, and I've been very patient with him throughout, and I suddenly just like lash out, and I think a lot of women felt very good with that scene.
Yeah.
Because for all the dash boys that they've been encountering, I think they kind of saw that as victory. So I would like that. It's also very close to real life.
Yeah.
And I think that it's all of the things women don't say, but they kind of feel inside. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite scene.
It does stand out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Tahir, for you?
Are we going in?
Yes, we
in
go in
order?
the.
Okay.
Yeah.
La la la.
I like that I get introductory music. So in Ye Kali Kali Aankhein, there's a scene where my character is being through hell in like 6 or 7 episodes, and then he goes to his father to sort of confess what he's been through and to ask for money. And the amount is this outrageous amount for a working class family. But very often when you pick a scene, it's not only about how it looked on screen. I just remember that it was shot in the middle of 2 lockdowns, and it was 45 degrees, and it was not the most shoot-friendly location, and to manage to get a performance in few takes, and for what the outcome was for everything, for camera, for sound, for
each aspect,
Brijinder Kala, it worked out really well. So if I had to pick one, it would be that one.
It would be that one. And it would have been challenging to shoot between the lockdowns, and because there must be breaks between the shoot, if I am not wrong.
There definitely were. I mean, there were RT-PCR tests every few weeks. I remember the crew being in PPE kits. But again, we were all just very grateful for having work, because that's what kept us going, and to be in a position where we're out of our houses, managing to do something productive that was keeping our mind away from what was going on.
Absolutely. And Huma, for you, there must be many, I assume.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Which would be the scene which,
Now she's thinking of all the stuff she's done through the year and like what she's done.
Gosh, I've lost track.
No, thank you guys. That's very sweet of you. But yeah, it is hard to pick because they all have been very different, and I think very, very gratifying. But I think the most recent one has been Monica, My Darling, and I think the whole scene, not just the action bit that Raj and I do, but just the whole scene, because you know, for me, it's like a little short film in itself. It starts on some note where I'm trying to like blackmail him. It gets a little edgy. We try and kill each other. It gets really, really violent. It almost ends in like a love story, and then no spoilers, but then somebody dies. So I think it was a very complete scene to do, and it was the second year shoot. And I was telling Vasan, like, you really sort of dropped me, like, you know, into this. But it was very, very gratifying. And also Raj, the kind of actor he is, was a lot of give and take. I think a lot of guys would be like, oh, I'm not going to play it like this, or would bring a lot of like machismo into it. But he was like just playing the scene for the scene itself, which is why it comes
so beautifully.
So beautifully. And yeah, it was, and also the Salim's plug-in. That also is
Oh
the
yeah, I
reason
remember that.
why I like
I
that
remember
scene.
that.
And Rohit, for you?
It would be very like I find it almost a little awkward to kind of pick what you think you've done really well, because most often than not when you see your work you're pretty much like you could have done better. But like there's one thing that I feel very proud of is that in Vikram Vedha there was this very tiny sequence where I get to do a little bit of action and I haven't done it before. In all honesty, forget about anyone else, but I didn't know whether I could do it or not. And I did it along with Ritik sir, and you know, I felt really proud at the end of the day that, you know, I managed to do what was required of me, and so I just feel really happy about doing that part in general, because also it's something that people haven't been able to imagine me do, and to be able to do it and then be appreciated for it just feels really nice. So that's one thing that I feel proud of.
Are you very critical about your work when you see it yourself? And I think for everyone, are you all very critical when you see something and you're like,
Listen, I look at my work on screen like I'm looking at a PNL. And I don't think that's the right approach. But yeah, I am very, very critical, and I'm someone, I think, just generally, for me also, it's very new, this world. And I think when I see myself, I said, wow, that is so bad. What was I thinking, you know? But I'm also like, oh my God, I'm so talented. So yeah, it can be both ways.
Yeah.
quick recovery?
Quick recovery, yes.
Yes.
I am, but there's also like moments where you see yourself do something in particular which you don't expect yourself to do, and then you feel really good about it. For example, action sequences in this. So like there was, I did something for Netflix called Feels Like Ish, which is like an episodic, and in that there's like a certain sense of comic that you need to have, like in the sense like comic timing. Again, something that I didn't think I could do. And when I saw it, there were moments where, you know, I was watching it with my friends, and there were moments that I wanted to laugh, but I felt like I would be so narcissistic if I laughed at my own performance. So when they left, I watched it again and then I laughed, and that just felt really nice. So I mean, you are critical about your work. I am, but there are moments that I do something and I feel good about it.
Yeah.
And for you, which, like, to answer both the questions, the performance-wise and are you critical?
Yes, I mean, I'm very critical, very, very critical, because my mother is also from the field. For those who don't know, she played my mother-in-law in Gully Boy. She's my actual mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
really?
she's my actual
Yeah.
mother. Yeah,
Wow.
she's Nasiruddin
How cool
Shah's
is that?
batchmate from NSD. So having that kind of a mother at home, like, you know, of course she also sees my mistakes. So like, I am very critical, and actually this question, I can learn something new out of this roundtable. I would say that, agar khud ko award, then I'm like, okay, how I have to imagine to feel like that about myself, that if I'm giving myself award. But yeah, that's a very good question, I would say. Thank you for that question, so that it is make believe, no? So if I was a person like that, I would pick up a scene which was challenging for me from Sas Bahu Achar Private Limited, which was my recent.
Yes.
There was this scene there was this emotion which I've never experienced myself. So I was very scared, and I didn't want to look at it like theatrical नहीं होना चाहिए ऐसे लग रहा था. So that scene is between me and my husband कि वो भी अचार बेच रहा है and I'm giving tough to him. मैं भी अचार बेच रही हूँ और वो एक के ऊपर एक फ्री देता है, तो इसलिए मेरा सारा अचार कोई लेता नहीं है. And then when I come home, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm scolding myself and I'm slapping myself. So I said, I've never done that. एक तो मुझे मारने से डर लगता है किसी और को भी. मेरे सबसे difficult scenes होते हैं अगर बच्चे को मारना है. I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, you know, I can't hit people. Yeah. Or hitting yourself is like it was more challenging for me.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to imagine कि अंदर क्या होगा. So मैं ये सोच रही थी कि hitting से ज़्यादा भी अंदर क्या हो रहा है. And my director helped me in that. He said, आपको कभी डिप्रेशन का सबसे एकदम ये लगा है कि जब आप खुद को इतना कोसते हो, you know, and so that criticizing yourself attitude worked there actually. And then that scene was very challenging कि she slaps herself. And हुआ ये कि कुछ scenes आपको रोना आता है या फिर आप हंस देते हो सीन में, दैट सीन आपको रोना नहीं है, but you are very angry with yourself and you know you're doing this and it's very yeah, it was
don't do it
no,
right
I mean
now.
yeah no sir, but it was very difficult.
Yeah.
But after I did that scene, you know, I collapsed and I started crying. So it was something which I have never gone through.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know, after that I thought that I managed well, you know, so
And
hitting yourself.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
Even now you did. Even now you
Even
did.
now you did.
Like, I was like, "Arey, arey, ruk ja, ruk ja."
But I mean, that's of course a huge challenge as an actor. Like even yesterday when we were speaking to directors, they were also talking of the same thing, that when they are shooting such intense scenes, they are the most difficult ones for even them to execute, because
Yes.
to get out
Yes.
that emotions from the
Yeah, so
actor.
after that light जा रहा था और दूसरा सीन शूट करना था और मेरा रोना नहीं रुक रहा था. This has never happened with me. I don't
Yeah.
like this happening on set.
Yeah.
कि यार रो रही है, because you have to be like, you know, आपके इमोशन पे कंट्रोल होना चाहिए. That kind of training I am, but इसमें थोड़ा सा वो गड़बड़ हो गया. But I went through something which I have never gone through.
Gone through before.
Yeah.
But you know, acting is so sacred, I'm sure, to all of you. Was there? Do you guys remember the first moment you all fell in love with acting? Amruta, we can start with you this
Yes,
time.
thank you.
Masaba, like,
Masaba was
okay,
like,
again.
don't start with me.
Why did I choose this chair?
Yeah.
So it was for me. It's been my mother, because I saw her. वो घर पे, you know, roti. You know, we do bhakri at home. Like in Maharashtrians, we do this bhakri, na.
Oh my God, I love bhakri.
Yeah, you love bhakri.
Yeah, me
My
too.
mother does amazing bhakris. So she's making bhakris at home, and she was playing. She was doing a play called Tughlaq, and Satyaraj Dubeji was the director.
Wow.
And she was playing Sauteli Ma. And I used to go for the rehearsals. She would wear that thing, and Sauteli Ma is a villain.
Yes.
A character, na. You know, she's shouting and she's doing all that. I'm like, what happens to her? Like, I was not getting what happens to her, but it was interesting to watch. But for me, a particular day I remember when I decided that, you know, I want to do this. So I was doing Dubeji's workshop, and he used to shout a lot. Kya kar rahe ho? You know, he used to do that, and I was like very scared, and I was very small also. तो एक दिन उन्होंने कहा कि imitate me. तो मैं ऐसे छिपती थी, कुछ भी exercise देते थे ना, तो I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So he's like, you come on. So everyone was coming, and they started shouting. The first thing they did was what, because he used to do
Yeah.
that. He told me, you come here, you do it. And when I
And
remember,
how old were you?
I was 10th pass किया था, because I was the youngest. तो ऐसे ही मतलब लिंबू टिम्बू होता है, इनकी तरफ कोई ध्यान नहीं देता है, सब बुली करते हैं. I was like that. तो लिंबू टिम्बू से मराठी हो.
So cute.
So yeah, so मुझे वो याद है कि मैं आई, and मुझे पता नहीं था, मैं I was just scared. But the moment यहाँ पे दुबे जी बैठे थे, यहाँ पे उनका सिगरेट का पैकेट था. मैंने ये डिसाइड नहीं किया था. I just came. बाकी सबने चिल्लाने का एक्टिंग किया था, मैंने वो सिगरेट का पैकेट उठाया. And he had this mannerism कि वो सिगरेट निकालते थे, ऐसे टैप करते थे उस पे, और ऐसे वो सिगरेट मुंह पे जाता था, उनको कुछ याद आता था, फिर वो बोलने लगते थे, फिर वो टैप करते थे. तो सिगरेट का यहाँ से यहाँ तक जाना 1.5 घंटा होता था. You know, so that mannerism, मुझे पता नहीं था कि मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया है, but I did that thing, you know, कि how he does that, and he was also surprised, everyone was surprised, and for those some moments I forgot who I was, and I really felt I was Dubeji, because I was not even scared, and otherwise I was a very shy girl, so I realized कि यहाँ पे scared नहीं लगता है, तो मुझे ये करना है. Like, you know, it was that thing. So that day I decided that ये क्या है पता नहीं, लेकिन हम कुछ और हो जाते तो हमें scared नहीं लगता है. So let me do that, you know.
Amazing. Amazing. Rohit?
I don't think there was a moment that made me feel like this is what I want to do, in the sense like there wasn't a moment that happened to me which made me feel like I want to become an actor. I think it was my dad. I grew up, you know, listening to him say that I wanted to become an actor ever since I was 4.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, and it started off with something really small. You know, I would pose everywhere I would go with them, and they would take my pictures, and I would look at the songs that would come on TV, and I would just imitate them. And he used to always say that, you know, when I'm financially competent, I would produce a film for you, and I want you to become an actor. He was a huge movie buff. And I always wanted to be a dancer. I always wanted to kind of pursue dancing as a profession. And it's when my dad passed when I was 11 or 12, I think 2008, is when this kind of stuck with me that this is the one. Also, I don't know whether it happens with everyone, but I was too young. Like I was 11, so I didn't necessarily have a like I didn't have a bond with my dad. I always wanted to do what my siblings were doing, which is to go out and spend the night out at my cousins or whatever. And my dad would never let me because I was the youngest. Also overprotected because I'm the youngest of the 5. So I didn't necessarily have a bond with him. So the shock was so big that the one thing I wanted to do at that point was to hold on to whatever I could. And the one thing that I could hold on to was the fact that he wanted me to act. While I was dancing, I also realized that I used to be a ballet and contemporary dancer, which is also a form of storytelling. So I realized that it's another version of the same thing. So I do want to try it out. And before I did that, I'd watched Wake Up Sid, which really it struck a chord. I don't know what it was, but it just I still I watch it and I feel so courageous after watching it. Like it makes me feel really nice.
Yeah.
So that's how acting happened. I mean, I just came because I wanted to do something that my dad wanted me to do, and as I there are still moments. I still can't point out that one moment that I feel like this is the moment where I felt like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I think I find those moments every time you're doing something and you do something for the first time, like how she said, I've never experienced something like that emotion. I feel like every time you do that, you feel like you want to do it. So
I think that's the beauty also, right? To keep hunting. Yeah, I think it keeps you motivated also.
Yeah.
That way. Yeah. Huma?
I think I was in college and I was like one of those classically confused kids who did not know what they wanted to do in their life. And my family always thought I'll do something more academically inclined because I was the smartest child that they had. But I completely let them down, clearly. But I was head girl, I was always debating, so many extracurricular things, always good in studies. But I knew like I didn't want to do that, and I feel like so I changed like my subjects midstream, all of that big whatever happened. So when I was in college, and I remember I was just doing a lot of extracurricular, and theatre was one of them. And I think there was this one time and because we had a girls' college, Gargi, so we didn't have guys to perform with us. So it out of necessity, we had to create plays with either, and we thought like, doing like girls doing guys part was kind of like not cool. So we had to come up with smarter ideas and how do you not use guys without people realizing. So I remember we did this play called Women of Mahabharata, where all of us actually like worked and like created, so Kunti, Gandhari, Vaishali, Bhanumati. All these characters, and we all did like studied, and we all had monologues. We called the Mahabharata monologues, and I performed that. I also directed that. So I remember when that happened, and we started winning like all the college awards, and we started like traveling, and Thespo happened, and all of that.
You
happened.
said you were directing it.
Yeah. Because college you did all that direct.
Right.
So I think that that chaska of like appreciation that what you're doing is good, that people like it, and that applause ki aadat. I think that is what really. I think fascinated me, because and for the longest time I also like wrestled with it, because I was like, I come from a very simple home, so I feel like to tell my parents or my friends even that I want to go to Bombay and be a movie actress, they're like, what rubbish, what rubbish is this, like who do you know in Bombay? But I think I think it planted the seed, and here I am.
After that, when was that moment when you experienced that sort of applause?
Quite recently, actually, when you were also in the room, when we were in Chennai, actually, when we did Valimai, and we went for the 3 AM show, and it was madness because I had never seen anything like it. Like my Ajith sir, of course, doesn't promote films, so my car entered and they put dahi and doodh and pool, and we got mobbed.
Like
it was nuts.
It was
I had
madness,
never experienced anything like this. I was like,
that's insane.
Yeah, and we went live, and it was just recording. It was quite crazy. And we came out also, and again we got mobbed. It was quite surreal. Yeah.
Wow.
Barely just made it. It was beautiful.
People
I would
were
go back,
climbing on the cars and
jumping on the car. Like it was quite mad.
Tahir, for you?
So I grew up in a defense family, and we lived in small towns for a large part of my childhood. I've grown up in Allahabad, in Chandigarh, in Jamnagar, and movie theatres weren't always as accessible. And I remember coming to Bombay when I was 7 years old on holiday here because I had a family member. and walking into my first cinema hall and watching the film was Jojita Vai Sikandar. Yeah, and as a film for a 7-year-old to experience, and everyone, it was a single screen, so everyone was cheering for the college, was like singing along with the song, and like as a 6-year-old, it's just overwhelming. It's a, what is this? Like, where has this world been so far? And when I think about it in hindsight now, obviously at 6 you can't analyze what it was, but that ability to make so many people let go of what they've got going on outside and just lose yourself to a fantasy that you're engrossed in, just made me feel like this is it. Like at that stage I did not know, but now when you ask me this question, that was the first germ to say that if you can make people feel something that they have no idea they can feel, that's magic. And I went to my first acting class, I think just when I was finishing school, and it was Barry John, who's a very famous acting coach in Delhi, and also like Huma from Delhi University, which is known for its theatre groups. And even as a kid, I remember it was always, I went from doing fancy dress parties where my first memory is my parents cutting out a cardboard box and I'm put in there to be the television presenter, and my part was to sing out the Doordarshan tune that used to come with an antenna. So it sort of grew from there. Those are the humble beginnings, and then it goes from there to choreography, and then to theatre groups, and then debate competitions, and then
you were a dancer too?
College level, nothing professional, but it was school and college.
Yeah, but we've all done that now. I've been a paid.
Yeah.
I was never made like the lead. I was always made like, तुम बहुत लंबे हो तो तुम पीछे खड़े हो.
What about me? I was always lightning because of my hair. I was lightning. My first ever Prithvi Theatre play was this summer workshop, and I used to have an afro then.
Wow.
So they were like, she'll be lightning, and you are all the farmers that get killed by her. So I come and strike everyone, and I had a dupatta and I just woo with my hair. It was very embarrassing, but
that outstanding.
Quite a memory.
Would you have a video clip that they can run alongside, like split screen and run alongside?
I'm sure you have pictures. I'm sure you have. I think
my mother will have.
But like Huma was saying, like you sort of discover it along the way.
Through the journey.
It starts off as a hobby, and then if you're not from Bombay, you figure out, okay, this is now something that I want to make my thing, and the reaction is very similar. Like, are you nuts? You want to go to Bombay? Chal, go try it for 2 months. You'll come back. And then 2 months become 2 years before you know it. And I think one thing just leads to another.
मुझे तो 1 साल मिला था. My dad, I fully emotionally manipulated him. Ki if I don't do this now, when I'm old, I'll play grandmother roles, but I'll still do it. So I fully did that whole thing, and I got 1 year.
And then that led you to something like a Mardani, which was a dark, intense character.
Yeah.
Did you ever envision yourself to start in this way? Because you started your journey with, like, inspired to be an actor with Jojita Vai Sikandar, and then comes a character which is completely opposite of what.
For sure. I mean, that's a great question. In Bombay, you grab what you can get. And I would be lying if I said that I really strategized that move. I got a film opposite Rani Mukherjee being produced by YRF, directed by Pradeep Sarkar. And it doesn't get better. Also, the way that character was presented, grey characters were and still are in vogue, and this was a time when internationally Breaking Bad, House of Cards, True Detectives had come out, and the way the character was going to be mounted, he was a quote-unquote bad guy, but he was supposed to be the boy next door. He's cool, and that was really interesting. And it's that thing of like, आपका मतलब cricket match चल रहा है, आपको एक ball मिली है, छक्का मारना है. You don't have a choice. So it was one of those moments.
Yes, and the rest is history, like the journey.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but thank you.
Someone else should have.
And Masaba, for you?
I think it's been, very scattered. I don't think there's one particular moment, but like Rohit said, actually, the first brush was, I used to dance with Shamak Davar.
Okay.
And I did modern contemporary with him, and I used to be the background dancer at like Filmfare and all these awards.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was quite a time. And IFA, I performed at Commonwealth Games in Australia. So I really enjoyed just being and performing for people. I think that's when I realized I am or might be an extrovert, because I always thought of myself as an introvert. But I think every moment that, I used to do my homework on my mother's set of Saas, So for me, Saas was the first sort of brush with wanting to do this, and I used to see my mom get ready, but I do think it was for the wrong reasons back then, because I was just very enamored by the glamour of it all. I was like, I also want a spot boy. And my mother's like, this is not why you become an actor. You know, so it was, that was
But that's
there.
a good enough reason, I think.
No?
I think it's a good enough reason.
I was like, I
So
want,
then
I
you've
want-
achieved your life goals,
Yeah, of
right? I
course.
assume you have.
Yeah.
It's done.
It's like, you know, I just feel like people fussing over me. It was nice as a kid, you know. And then I think finally, when I was on the sets of Modern Love, Mumbai, which was last year,
Yeah.
I think that's when I fully fell in love. Because the thing is, when I'm playing myself on a show that's named after me, it's very easy to get spoiled.
Yeah.
Because you think everything revolves around you. And then you go to a set where, sure, people treat you very well, but there are other people who have done work and they're as important or more important, and that's really humbling.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if I enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed it. And that's when I said I've tasted blood.
Was any of Nina Ji's early performances an influence also?
I think Choli Ke Piche Kya Hai? That was cool.
Interesting.
When I saw that song, I said, but also because I was into dance.
Yeah.
You know? But when I saw that, I said, this can be fun. But Saans was it.
Yeah.
Saans was a different world. And I spent so much time on that set. And there were, you know, sometimes we'd shoot in the building downstairs. So I would just be like, I think I'm one scene somewhere also.
Really?
My mom was
Oh,
like, just,
fun.
you know, because she was the director and producer
Yeah.
Yeah.
and acting in Saans. And I think that for me was, it was an amazing world. So I think it's been bits and pieces, very broken, but the finale was really Modern Love. That's when I said I will do this actively and not just sit back and wait for things, but go out and make things happen for myself.
But I really wish for Masaba and Rohit that, you know, they both are such amazing dancers that they should get some role in which, you know, there's a lot of dance.
Come on, Rohit, let's do it.
Write it. Make
So
it
I
happen.
bless you both for that kind of role.
Thank
You're
you,
putting
thank
it out
you.
in the universe.
You know.
Make it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Write it.
Universe
Produce
on
it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
If you look at 5 years, if you go 5 years down the lane, there was a clear bifurcation between different mediums of entertainment. There was TV, there was OTT, there was theatre, and every industry had its own set of actors who were working there. But with the pandemic, there is this new hybrid model of acting that has come, where everyone is working everywhere. How has this benefited each one of you?
I think that was always going to happen sooner or later. But I think what happened is that the pandemic occurred and that sort of accelerated the process. I think in the West, anyway, you know, a lot of very big stars and directors are moving to OTT and telling their stories, you know, on the digital platforms. So I think that was sooner or later going to happen in India as well. But yes, definitely what the pandemic has done is accelerated the process. There was a time when, you know, even today we're still figuring out what is really working on the theatrical scene, you know, and we're getting back slowly but surely. So it's been, the last few weeks have been a good time at the movies, which is great. But I think as artists, it's very good for us and for the audiences. I think for me, I've done a Tamil film earlier this year. I've done Maharani. I've done Mithya. I've had a theatrical release. I've also done an OTT film. So I think if I'm getting the opportunity to work and so my audience base is increasing. So why should I limit that to saying, oh no, I'm only a theatrical actor, I'm only an OTT actor. And so I think it's a win-win situation for people as well as actors, yeah. And I think this is going to stay.
But in the beginning of this year, I think we were really looking at it separately, actively across interviews and conversations also. But with films doing well in theatres and on digital also, I think now we've started to look both these platforms equal.
I disagree. I think we're still looking at them very differently.
You are?
You still call an OTT actor an OTT actor.
That does
And
happen.
You
though.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I hear it, and because I'm not, like I said, I'm not actively a part of this world. It catches me more because I'm like, what's an OTT actor? An actor is an actor, you know. So I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like
I think it'll only last as that person is in transition or they don't also work in other mediums. It's like,
Perhaps.
and I don't think it's like a bad word necessarily.
no. It's
You
but
know,
it
it's
is
like-
sort of, there is that divide. I mean, I don't always say that actor. You know, I remember it happened with this one actor who has now made the transition to film, to the big screen, but he was called an OTT actor for a very long time, you know. So I think that divide is still in people's head. It's made the world smaller, OTT, you know, because one person who's made a show in Bombay is, you know, it's going to 150 countries, different languages, whatever, you know, and I think that has really helped. Today you can be sitting here and watching any kind of content from any part of the world. and so your inspirations, your influences are so global in that sense. So yeah, it's a great thing.
And I think what's very interesting about this conversation is as we're experiencing the difference in distribution, there's also a change in the definition of celebrity in stardom that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, and what's exciting to me is that when I first came to Bombay, which was 8-10 years ago, you were either a TV star or a film star. You know, there were OTT, the concept didn't exist. I think it's hybrid stardom now. You're a hybrid star.
True. Yes.
And if someone asks me, are you a film actor or an OTT actor? I'm an actor.
And also, just to sort of add to what he was saying, and I completely agree with that, and to sort of take something from what everyone is saying, it's also that, see, look at what is happening today, okay? The whole landscape is flattening out. Today, people are getting opportunities who possibly would have never gotten an opportunity.
Absolutely.
To have the kind of stardom that they are actually enjoying. And they're not here today, but a Jaideep Palawat. You know, a Pratik Gandhi. They are breakout stars today.
Nawazuddin
absolutely.
But Nazabto has been, but you know what I'm talking about OTT, pure. These are pure OTT.
Pankaj Tripathi.
You know, these are pure OTT stars, and they enjoy a lot of stardom, and they've been discovered because their shows, you know, were a success purely on that, and they have now transitioned to go on to becoming, you know, also leading films. So I think it's so interesting, this whole thing. I guess it's what you can make of it. It's, and also like people are just, I guess we just like labels. You know, oh ये model है, अब acting कर रही है. वो
model turned actor.
वो model turned actor है, वो Miss India turned actor है, वो TV hero था, अब इसमें try कर रहा है. So these are just, you know, easy terms that people use and use very easily and throw away very easily. But I feel it's definitely a very interesting time, like Tahir said, for this hybrid kind of.
Absolutely.
And I would say for if an actor doesn't want to get slotted, you know, for like me, when I did Gully Boy, everyone was like, don't do it. You know, it's the biggest mistake. You're taking risk because you're playing a mother to someone who is like almost your age. Don't do it. You'll be slotted in that thing. You know, but because I didn't know that OTT would happen, but I wanted to do that role because it was an amazing film and it was an amazing role. So, because of the OTT, afterwards I could do a seductress bar dancer after Gully Boy, like, you know.
But you know, this playing mother, so I'm sick of. I swear, I'm just sick of it. And people telling you don't play a mother because you'll get typecast and you'll age yourself. Like I'm sick of this conversation only.
It's a bit dated.
But I'm happy
no,
that
it's not
the
dated.
times
You'll be
to
shocked
change.
and surprised.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a very genuine thing, and it's problematic because like why would you reject a part purely on the basis
because
there's
it
a
was
kid
such a
or not?
well-written part.
Like I was told when I was doing Maharani, like don't do it. You're playing 3 बच्चों की माँ. Who plays 3 बच्चों की माँ? Why are you aging yourself? Who ages? You know, why would you still have 10 years to go, babe, before you do these kind of roles? You know, and it's a thing. You're not desirable anymore. You're not cool anymore. You're aging yourself. These are things that are again, and the industry throws them at women.
But having said that, I remember talking to Dipti Nawal. You know, I was interviewing her, and she said that हमारे वक्त में ऐसा था. We were getting slotted. और उन्होंने कहा मैंने बीच में acting छोड़ दिया because I didn't want to do those roles. Because at that time OTT was not there. So I don't know. मैंने तो decide किया था कि you know I don't want to get slotted, but OTT gave me that opportunity that a Bombay Begums came, that a Raw Agent, like a Sacred Games 2 came. So if it was not there, I would have said that I don't want to do it. But then what to do? I mean, you know, I might have done just theatre. I don't know what would I have done.
You know, even Shefali ma'am told me this recently in an interview. She said when she was offered Akshay Kumar's mother in Waqt, even Vipul sir told her, "Ki don't do it." It was Ameji, because Ameji said you do it, she took up the role. So I think earlier there was this type of typecasting, but I think we are going away from it.
Mom was telling me that when she said yes to Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, everyone told her, if you do this role of this funny girl, you will never be a lead actress, and it was true. She never got. I think Badhai Ho is her first.
Can you
not
imagine?
even like lead, whatever stories
Crazy.
around her.
Crazy.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
At the
crazy.
age of 60.
Wow.
You know, this question is not here, but since Masaba just mentioned Nina ji, it came to my mind. You know, when Nina ji put up that post, I'm not sure if you guys remember, and a part was, you know, that I'm a national award winning actress, I live in Mumbai.
I want work.
And I want work. I think it's really brave to do that. Would you ever, God forbid, have the guts really to put it out there, saying that, you know, I'm looking, because I don't think it's easy to do it. Not many people would do it. Would you ever do it?
Yeah, I would.
I think
I
it's
would,
cool.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I probably would not put out a post, but if somebody asks me, I'll say, yeah, I'm pretty jobless. You know, like, I mean, I would
You
say
say
that.
all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm jobless. Like,
What are you doing?
I would
Unemployed.
also-
Unemployed right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would also see that not as a genuine thing to say, give me work. It was a big statement to
Yeah.
make that someone who's that
Yes.
acclaimed
Yes.
could
Yeah.
also be that vulnerable.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think there was more power in that. So
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
it wouldn't. And I'm sure she has enough numbers on her phone to have called, but that was more of a statement of what was going
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
Would I be able to do that at this stage? No, probably not. I'll wait for the national award and then I'll
Good answer.
yeah.
Sure.
No, I think I would do it because there's so much I want to do, and I just feel like there are many numbers I might not have. Whose numbers I have, I message.
Yeah.
But whose numbers I don't have, I think I would just be like, yeah, man, I think that I would do this well, or I would try. I think what happens with me also is that people think I don't want to test. And I love auditions.
Wow.
I live for auditions. Like, I live to just like sink my teeth into that part and try and be somebody else. I live for that. But so I think more than that, I think because sometimes with mum, what happened was that people thought she just lives in Delhi. She thought that people forgot her.
Yeah.
So I think my job as somebody who's like doing two things and something like acting, which I personally feel very passionate about, is that I think I just don't want people to forget me the minute I feel like they are forgetting me, or to just remind them that there is this other person that's also there. So I would do it.
I was very weak in this, like, you know, even if I see a director and I feel like doing it, I'm very shy and I'm like, no. But one of my friends really told me a very nice thing. She said, it's a way of telling them that, you know what, I like your work. It's a way of telling them. So that approach I like, you know, if a director, if you tell them that I want to work with you, that means you're telling them that I like your work.
Yeah.
So she said, instead of looking at it as like, I'm needy and give me work, you can look at it as a way of telling them that you like their work. So then I thought, oh, that could be done, you know, that could be the approach. But yeah.
You know, recently, like at the start of the conversation, we were speaking of misconceptions, and you know, maybe 2 years back, there was this misconception, or rather, I would say that this was a really big conversation that OTT पे film आ रही है तो अच्छी नहीं है, and this is something which was even like, you know, made sense because in 2020 a lot of films which released on OTT were not up to the mark. They just came in the pandemic. As actors, have you ever faced this perspective from people, and having done good work on OTT, how do you view to change this misconception in people? If we could start with you, Tahir.
With me?
Yeah.
Because I'm an OTT actor.
Because your work has
No,
really
yeah.
broken that stereotype. You know?
No, I'll tell you what, this is such an evolving medium
Yes.
that an example, if you've picked an example from July of 2020, it does not apply in July of 2021.
Yeah.
And that's
True.
my straight answer.
Very true.
A film
Yeah.
that released in 2020 of July was under different distribution, marketing, production
Dynamics.
than what
Yeah.
it is in today, than what it will be in 6 months from now. So I really, even if I give you an answer now, like, you know, 3 months from now, it might be a different, and that is exciting and the reality at the moment.
But have you been a part of such conversations, or has anyone ever come and told you OTT पे आ रही है तो खराब ही होगा?
Very honestly, I haven't. And if it's like, I mean, again, there are two things in this country that everyone has an opinion about.
Yes.
It's cricket and film,
Films.
right?
Yeah.
10 लोगों को अगर आप कुछ दिखाओगे, 6 लोग कहेंगे अच्छी है, 4 लोग कहेंगे बुरी है.
Yeah.
And as an actor, my commitment is on set when I'm between action and cut. After that, everyone is actually entitled to have an opinion. So I respect it. I don't have to necessarily agree with it.
And I think it's not good film or bad film. I would say these are two different experiences. So some films, you know, you like them watching at your home, one-to-one kind of a thing, intimate, that kind of an atmosphere. And some films are like, yeah, you know, hero, and then they are theatrical experiences. There is nothing good or
Yeah.
there's nothing good or bad in that. But some films, they're really. I've liked some films when I've like just me alone sitting and watching them. It's a different experience, I would say. So I think that should be the approach of looking at films rather than good or bad.
Listen, these are, I feel, very evolved questions for me. To be able to answer, how do I approach acting? I have no set method of how I approach acting.
Just go have fun. Yeah,
I'm honestly
have fun.
just
Yeah.
genuinely having fun with
Yeah.
whatever opportunities I'm getting so far. I've not reached a point, and I really hope I can, but I've honestly not reached a point where I have.
किसी को कुछ नहीं पता, हम भी ऐसे फालतू इंटरव्यू के लिए ऐसे अच्छे आंसर दे रहे हैं. Nobody knows anything, right?
It's
Who knows?
honestly-
So we sound smart and like, oh wow, what a process they have. Nobody knows anything.
But I honestly, like, I don't have any different ways of approaching projects. I'm just having lots of fun doing whatever I'm getting to do. I do want to add though that I feel like I could be completely wrong, and I do not mean to offend anyone, but I feel like it's the new cool where you're saying the bad things about everything that comes out.
Yeah.
You know, there are times when I'm hanging out with friends or I randomly meet someone and have you seen this film or have you seen this show?
Yeah.
And I'm honestly the kind of person who I come from a background that has nothing to do with films, right? So for me, even today, when I watch films, I look at it from that perspective also, because I don't, even though I've been working in films for a while, I don't necessarily understand the technical aspects of it too much beyond the point. A lot of people do, which is why they'd probably be pointing out stuff that, this wasn't good and that was. For me, it's not that. It's an experience. A lot of people don't understand that. So when I find people watching projects, watching films or whatever content that comes out, constantly pointing out the bad stuff, I'm just like she said, you don't understand what's gone behind it, or just enjoy it for what it is and stop trying to nitpick everything. That I just feel like there's too much opinion, unnecessary sometimes for you, but at the same time there's also enough love, and that's what I choose to focus on. When it comes to a mismatch, I know that if I walk into a room with people my age who live in Bombay or Delhi, I know that I would walk into a room and they'd all probably say that it's not our kind of show, unless it's girls for some reason.
That's a happy problem to have.
It's a great problem to have, and I'm not complaining. But a lot of people say, oh, it's not our kind of show because I don't understand this genre. It's fine that you don't understand it. That does not make the project a bad project.
Yeah.
It's
No,
fine.
but people, that's not fun, na? Unless you don't slander somebody or you bring them down or destroy them completely. You don't make for engaging conversation. Oh, it was a rubbish show. I hated it.
Really?
It was a waste of my.
I
So
loved it. Great. End the conversation.
Yeah, but people, it's not gratis.
Of course.
They really
of course.
want to
Are you talking about mismatch?
I'm talking about just
In
projects
general,
in general.
in
And mismatch happens to be a part of those.
हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि
I
लोगों
loved
को
it.
अच्छा लगता है किसी की धज्जियां उड़ाना, मतलब just to say कि मुझे समझ नहीं आया, this is not for me, is not enough. You have to really destroy something.
And the funny part is that you give your opinion saying, I hated it, it was horrible. I say, okay, I loved it. The conversation doesn't end there, because then they're trying to change your opinion about what it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm
That is
just
something
like,
we all encounter.
Stop it, man. You hated it, I loved it, end of conversation. That's it.
It follows with so many comments. "ए, तेरे को कुछ मालूम नहीं है."
Haan, great.
हमको
It's
भी
okay.
आता है.
Yeah.
So the last question that we have is, we were just talking about the films that have, influenced you and impacted you. For me it was Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. For him it was Rangila.
Rangila was the first film I ever watched. I was 5 months old when my parents took me to watch that film. And
You remember it?
I don't remember it. My mom told me
Suddenly I was like, what are you
joking.
like? Abhimanyu.
my mom used to tell me
Chakravyuh
कि
का
जब भी
ऐसे.
गाना आता था मैं आँख खोलता था, देखता था, and then I used to sleep. So
Wow.
A film that impacted, is that the question?
No, so the question is that, if as an actor,
Masaba, I love Masaba. Is that the
Is
question?
that the
Just
question?
specify. Because this is a meandering conversation.
No,
I need specifics.
question is, if you all have to suggest a film to any aspiring actor,
Oh,
One
to
film.
watch, one
Arey
film
Baba
that's
re,
that they should
toughy.
watch this film,
Tough.
what will that film be?
One film to an aspiring actor.
Yeah.
I think they should watch a lot of films. All
Can I say
aspiring
two?
actors.
Please,
Yeah, go ahead.
Let us all say
Yeah,
two.
go ahead.
Let us all say 5.
I think life is beautiful. Sorry, Huma. I mean, one
It is my favorite
one
film.
minute.
You have quoted.
No, but 1 second. I will give you a Hindi film also, because I
No, but it's my favorite film.
Oh,
But
okay.
listen,
That's
your
why I
reasons could
reacted
be
like
different, so you also say
Yeah.
the same thing.
No, it's
Life
my
is
favorite
beautiful
film.
because I think it was so like,
I'm not watched.
that was one of the first few films I watched growing up. And that actor, man.
Yeah, he's too good.
So good. I don't even know his name.
Buongiorno, Principessa.
Well done. So yeah, thank you, Huma, for being on this panel, saving us all. But yeah, I just think that it's so amazing how he took his kid into that world,
Yes.
through everything that was happening. And that's when I truly believed in the magic of filmmaking and a character and what he could do.
Yeah.
And my second would be Udan.
Wow.
I am a
Good actor.
huge I don't know, just both of them, Rohit Roy? Ronit Roy and Rajat Barmecha, just so good, and of course Vikram Motwani did an amazing job, and I thought that was also, I don't know, it just sticks in my mind that it's like what I watch when I'm sad and when I'm happy both.
Amazing. Tahir?
It's really hard to name. Can I just name a bunch? Like
Yeah, go for it. I want to list.
So watch Bazigar, just how you can be in the grey but be charming at the same time.
Yeah.
That's all Shah Rukh Khan movies.
That's
Come on.
all Shah Rukh Khan. Yeah. Then watch Hasil because of Irfan Khan sir. Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, again, just because flawed hero. You don't have all the answers. You don't have the girl. Rangila for the same reason, because Amir Khan sir. Again, it wasn't like the ladki ko dekha slow motion mein pyar ho gaya dono ko. There was like a chase, there was a struggle, and there were like vulnerabilities, which were what makes it awesome. And if I was to name an international film, I would say for an actor, watch the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset series, because that's just like, it's pure conversation, and like I feel to hold that engagingly is very challenging.
मैंने तो बोला कि हिंदी फिल्में देखो जिनको एक्टर बनना है हिंदी इंडस्ट्री में,
उसमें एक फिल्म कोई
मैंने
तो
तो चार
आपकी फेवरेट कौन सी?
but see also like I mean I would say then any film that is about the human spirit, because it gives you hope, because I think being an actor, apart from the hard work and the talent, is also a lot of patience, is also like a lot of waiting, it's a lot of like all of that. So any film that gives you like Pursuit of Happiness, I mean, I think that's a film that really to sort of come out tops against all odds.
Pursuit of Happiness. Hindi film. People watch Hindi.
अंग्रेजी आप अंग्रेजी से शुरू, अंग्रेजी में जवाब दे तो हम अंग्रेजी से बताएंगे. तो प्यासा देखो. कुछ बीच में नहीं है. I think for me, like personally, I think Dil Se Bombay Roja have been like very instrumental when I was at least growing up. Like whether it's been their music or the way they were shot or performances. So I would highly recommend them to anybody, saying, okay, please must watch these three Holy Trinity type films. But yeah, I mean, is that good enough?
Yeah.
So I can keep going on otherwise.
Actually, like I feel like I can just say the films that the rather content that's impacted me a lot, even like recently. The first one would have to be Wake Up Sid, always. Just it's beautiful, and I can watch it again and again, and I would never get tired of it. The other film that I've watched, which it's incredible, and I wish to God that I can ever be a part of a project like that, really, with all my heart, is a film called Beautiful Boy. It is one of the most beautiful films that I've ever seen, because it also encapsulates a father-son relationship like never before. Like that's what I feel. Maybe I've not watched enough films to know that it has been done in other films also. It's outstanding. Tare Zameen Par, for some reason, is a very, very special film for me. It makes me feel really happy. It's like what she said beautifully, that it's a film that I can watch when I'm happy and when I'm sad, and it does what it needs to do for me. And the one more show that I've watched very recently, which inspired me hugely, and I wish that I can kind of perform like that, is a show called Normal People. It's really, really beautiful. It's a show that's on Lionsgate, produced by BBC, if I'm not wrong. It's outstanding in the way they've been able to kind of showcase vulnerability, intimacy, and just being like, it's literally conversations. You've seen those two actors physically naked on screen with so much comfort. It's astounding. So I really love these 4 projects that I mentioned.
Lovely. Amruta?
So it's very difficult to pick one, but for some reason, Bicycle Thief is coming in my, it's a very favorite film, and it shook me really when, and I can't forget that shot where आपके parents का जब सारा ये आपके सामने, when you see them as humans, like when that boy sees that his father doing that, तो वो जो shot है ना, that has impacted me very deeply, and I always look for learn from films जहाँ पे ना where you have gone beyond words, and that's something which has gone deep inside. And मुझे लगता है जैसे कागज के फूल for that matter, मतलब वहीदा जी and of course गुरुदत्त साहब, तो मुझे याद है कि वो जब नीचे भी देख रहे हैं ना, there's so much of dignity, मतलब ठहराव and dignity, तो वो I yearn for that dignity, कि मतलब it's not हमें लगता है कि मैं आंखें दिखा के कुछ ये करूँ, कुछ नहीं, मतलब आंखें बंद भी है तो भी अंदर जो भी हो रहा है, you know, it's like that dignity. So I think I would tell any new actor कि वो मिलना कमाल की बात है, वो dignity in the acting, I would say.
Lovely. No, these are all amazing films, and so are you guys. I can speak on behalf of Himesh also. We were so excited for this conversation, and it has really turned out much better than our expectations. I hope you guys had a good time as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Super.
Thank
So
you
much
so
to
much.
learn.
Lots of fun.
Thank you for doing this with us, and thank you for all the joy you all have given us through your films and your shows and everything you all are doing out there. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And I
Thank
just
you.
want to say that, you know, the best part of these roundtables are like, I have admired them all, but to know them like this,
And
like,
to get
you
to know the stories, I think is
yeah,
really
that's
Yeah.
very
Thank
exciting. So keep doing this. Like it's very precious for all of us also.
So sweet.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
gratitude.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah.